and welcome to this success lesson on note-taking strategies brought to you by the Harvard Community College Learning Center. We are going to start this lesson today actually by doing a little exercise. I want you to take out something to write with, a pen or paper, or you can take out your phone, jot down some notes on your phone because note-taking is something that's very personal. Everyone has different strategies and techniques. So I want you to pause this video after I read the questions and jot down a couple of ideas because once you know where you're coming from, you can know what progress you can make in note-taking. So the first question, why do we take notes? List some reasons or benefits of note-taking. Second question, what do you write in your notes? In general, what do you record when you are taking notes? And last question, how do you write your notes? What formats or methods do you use? So go ahead and pause this video and jot down some of your ideas. So we are going to circle back to these questions, the why, the what, and the how of note-taking. So why do we take notes? In one study, students lost about 75% of what they learned in 24 hours. And another study reported that on average, lecture notes by first-year students contain only 11% of the critical ideas presented during class. So we sort of have this problem that we forget the majority of what we learn in a day, and our notes don't necessarily always capture that information. So what should we write when we're note-taking? Well, it's very important to listen actively for key concepts, main ideas, and supporting details. If you are in person in a lecture class, don't worry about writing down everything that your instructor says, but listen to verbal cues that will clue you to the most important things, such as the point is, the following is very important, this will be on the test. That's always something to write down. And you can find similar cues also when you're taking your online courses, when you're going through Blackboard and looking at the different readings, or in the introductions that your professors write or give. So remember, you don't need to write down everything, but listen actively for those key concepts. Next, ask and answer questions in your notes. Write down things you aren't sure about, and then write down the answers that you find. Take notes on discussions that are meaningful in class. Make sure that you stay focused. Watch for visual cues. For example, if your instructor is writing on the board, they might underline something or put a star next to something. Same thing in your textbooks. There are often things that are bolded or highlighted. Pay special attention to those, and maybe those words that are bolded you want to jot down in your notes. And then one big tip is to stay organized. Keep the same subjects together. No matter what method you use for note-taking, one thing you want to avoid is something I see students do a lot. When I ask, what do you do with the notes that you take in class? They say, well, there are loose leaf papers scattered all over my desk, right? You want to find a way to organize your notes. So that leads us to the next slide, how to take notes. You want to take notes during class and while you're studying. Always be referring back to the notes and reviewing them often, because what's the point of taking notes if you're never going to look at them again? So try to write neatly or go back and review them. Make sure you can read what you've written or make sense of what you've typed, and then organize the notes that you take. You can have a binder with different tabs. You can organize folders in your computer or use online like Google Docs, storing things in Google Drives, OneDrive, and you can use OneNote, and that's a method that we'll actually explore together. Some other tips to take notes. Try to condense things. Don't write down everything, but listen for a couple minutes, identify the key concepts or main ideas, and then record them in your own words. You can use abbreviations that make sense to you, and if there are things you didn't quite fully get, you can leave blanks. Jot down some main ideas and then leave some blanks and make a note to ask your professor about that later or to look that up in your textbook again. So for taking notes, there are lots and lots of different methods. We're going to talk about 3 different methods you can use, but I think it's really important to experiment and find the method that's right for you because like we said at the beginning, note-taking is personal and you want to find the best method for you. So the first method we are going to discuss is OneNote. You can think of OneNote sort of as like a 3-ring binder with different tabs for different subjects, but it's organized in an online format. So you can actually access this through Office 365. If you just type into a search engine office.harvard.edu, you can sign in with your Harvard credentials, and this is actually one of the apps that you can use. So I just made a little video of an example of one of these notebooks. You can see here on the left are the different big subjects. So this is divided into different classes, and then one of the tabs is a to-do list, what the student has to do each week. So this is really nice because yeah, you can see the different classes, you can see the subtabs, and in the to-do list you can actually check what you need to do and what can be done. So this is an example of one class where they have the syllabus listed and then they have it broken down into the different weeks of the course. And you can see the different really cool features on OneNote like highlighting or drawing. So there are a lot of things to explore, and this is a great method if you like keeping your notes in electronically and storing them in the cloud. So that is OneNote. Another method you can use is outline method. And this is a way you can break things easily and visually into main ideas and subtopics. So the idea is you have the key concept, the main idea, indent, major detail, indent, minor supporting detail, and then go back to the main idea. So you can use this method both electronically or if you're taking paper and pencil notes. So you can see this basic ethical theories, both of an example of how they did that on paper and how they did that using Microsoft Word. No right or wrong, just what works best for you. The last method that's really popular among students is called the Cornell note method. This is the idea that you are taking a sheet of paper and breaking it into 3 sections. So the section on the very left is the Q column. These are main ideas, questions, key terms. Then the main bulk of it is the note-taking area, places where you can write bullet points, outlines, pictures, and then the very bottom is the summary. So your main takeaway from the lesson, questions you need to clarify further on. So we're going to look at some examples of this. This is just another way to do it during the lecture. First, start by recording in that big column, that note-taking column, and then write your questions and your cues. Then you can recite, reflect, and write your summary at the very bottom. One super great thing about this method is that you can actually take a piece of paper and cover up that big column and you're just left with cues. And that's a great way to test yourself, to look at the cues, look at the questions, and see if you can recall the information in the larger column. So these are some examples to show how this can work with a variety of subjects. So this is short story elements in English, and you can see they ask, what is the definition of the plot? And then they have different notes about the plot. And again, the summary here at the bottom is a way to do an overview of everything that was gone over during that lecture or that chapter. Here's an example from algebra. Again, how these equations go with the little cues on the left-hand side. They actually look like they're going through the steps of how to solve a problem. This is an example from history, and you can see that this also works in chemistry and the different sciences. So There are lots of different methods to choose from. OneNote, outlining, the Cornell note method, but whatever you choose, I would recommend sticking to it and making sure that you review and you organize those notes often. If you want to dive deeper into any of these note-taking strategies or get some help setting up your own note-taking system, feel free to reach out to the Learning Center and you can work with a learning assistant on fine-tuning some of these note-taking strategies. All right, thank you so much for watching this lesson.